So you got Marjorie Taylor Greene, you got Tucker Carlson, you got Matt Walsh, you got Thomas Massie, you got Candace Owens, you got some of the biggest names on the right or in the MAGA universe completely going against and calling out Donald Trump. What is there anything left to MAGA, and what does this mean for the midterms?
I guess the only thing left of MAGA is what we call cuck-servatives and neocons is I would say what's left. And it really has become a cult. It really has. It goes back to what I said. They used to have to print lies about Trump. Now they just print the truth. It has become a cult. And the names that you just mentioned, you know, we might have different approaches to politics and different policies, but I think the one thing that remains is consistency. You know, we remain consistent on the things that we think, the things that we say. And that's why we're so upset with the direction of where this Trump administration is going.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's show. I hope you enjoyed our special shows yesterday. We had an hour and a half with Alex Jones, and then we had an hour and a half with Professor Jang, who is nobody's more on it than him, I think, about this in certain ways, about how what's the causes of the war, what's the end game of the war, and what are the consequences of the war. He really nailed it, and a lot of people tuned in on that. That was at 5 o'clock. We normally don't go on air on Tuesdays, but anyway, he's a big fan of the show and wants to come back. So hopefully, if we're still here next week, we'll have him back. I'm here with the world's premier voice impressionist, Mike McRae, all the way from Austin, Texas. Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm good, Jimmy. How are you doing on this fine Wednesday?
Okay, I would appreciate it if you spoke to me in Kash Patel's voice.
Well, good. Let's get the sketch started.
Okay, ready? Okay. Hey, hello. Who's this?
What's up, fucker? It's Kash Patel.
It's FBI Director Patel. So good to hear from you. What are you up to?
You know me, dude. Dropping bombs on Iran and subbing to moms on OnlyFans.
I see.
But seriously, we're doing a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I can't believe we did, dude. Fucking war with Iran. Everyone said we couldn't, said it would be the worst idea in the history of mankind, destabilize the entire planet. Well, you know what? We're the type of dudes, when we hear that shit, it's like, well, then we're definitely doing it. You can't scare us. Jump into the fire, you know what I'm saying? Carpe diem, YOLO. Because we are those fuckers.
Is that a very good foreign policy, though?
Dude, it's the only foreign policy. It's the only policy, period. Just fucking do it. Don't look, just jump.
Okay, just making sure that was the case. How does the FBI fit into all of this?
That's a good question, Jimmy. I'm glad you asked. Currently, the FBI is coordinating with Homeland Security and the rest of the Justice Department to create a security matrix domestically in close coordination with overseas combat operations, streamlining a cross-departmental model of communication and information sharing to assist and augment shared objectives. God, I love talking like this. It sounds so in charge and official. Jimmy, do you do the cat?
Wait, say it again.
Jimmy, do you do ketamine? Are you into the cat?
No, I do not. I am not. Can you maybe be a little clearer about what you just said, speak in layman's terms?
Basically, we're just spying on people who are Muslim or look Muslim.
Okay, I see.
So, like, we drew up a memo and sent it to the White House about possible domestic threats caused by our invasion, and that White House, quote, leaked it, but really we wanted to prime the public for all the highly unconstitutional shit we're about to be doing.
Oh. Do go on, please.
Oh, yeah, dude. So we warned that Iran would be doing domestic terror, would awaken long dormant sleeper cells, asleep since who knows how long.
Yeah.
Attempt assassinations, target the Jewish community, as like I said, assassinations, stabbings, vehicle rammings, etc.
And what intelligence is this based on?
My personal intelligence, which is a lot of just knowing what kind of shit Iran would probably do. Like if I were Iran, which I'm not, by the way, I'm Kash.
Have you detected any of this activity online yet? I mean, chatter, as they would call it back in the 2000s?
Not yet, not really, but we have multiple agents posing as Iranian sleeper agents online, trying to radicalize young Muslim men and urge them towards domestic terroristic activity.
I bet.
Historically, these efforts usually yield some sort of success, usually getting a teenager to buy suspicious shit at Home Depot, at which point we swoop in and say, see, we stopped a terror attack on U.S. soil, bitches.
Yes, of course. I'm familiar with the way you guys roll.
Yeah, in the past, these were basically just like justify your existence type operations on the part of large intelligence gathering organizations and the U.S. anti-terrorism apparatus in general. Like, see? Fucking see? This is why you need us. Because of this situation that we created ourselves on purpose.
It's beautiful.
Oh, fucking exquisite, dude. Are you kidding me? I couldn't wait to be a part of one of these honey trap operations. But now we're going to be doing a ton of this shit to justify the war. You can count on that shit, Broseph. It's going to be the return of they hate our freedoms in a big way, dude. We're bringing the early 2000s back like Alien Ant Farm.
Yeah, I remember that well.
And when it comes to threats to the Jewish community, we don't have to do shit. Our Zionist allies have that shit on lock all by themselves. We can count on them to continue to mildly vandalize their own homes and businesses.
Vandalize their own property?
Oh, come on, dude. Yeah, I mean, okay. Yeah, these vicious anti-Semites drew swastikas all over our place in chalk or soap or some other shit that washes right off. Yeah, I'm so sure, dude. And the damage is never like a cinder block through a plate glass window. It's small chips or cracks that are easily repaired. Like, yeah, okay, clearly Hamas showed up last night armed only with the glassy pebbles found at the bottom of a fish tank. Greg, dude.
Okay.
Anyway, so we got our shit on lock domestically. Overseas, we are totally dominating Iran right now, achieving each one of our objectives like a laundry list.
What are your objectives exactly?
That's classified. Look,
Yeah.
dude, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm getting word right now that Randy and them have been chatting online with a 16-year-old Muslim kid in Akron, Ohio. Seems mad about the killing of those hundreds of schoolgirls. Sunglasses Phil keeps passing the Muslim-sounding shit to type that he Googled. I'm going to head over there and see if we can't turn this little fucker full wrist. Later, skater. Don't be a fucking hater.
Jesus. This is him. This is him. This is...
Yeah, it's him, and it's what they're fucking doing, dude. You know it. Like, that's absolutely what they're going to do. That's going to be the news for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, this is him.
Oh, they caught a terrorist, dude. Yeah, we fucking did. You're welcome.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Kash.
Dude,
what's
get
that?
drunk at Cheesecake Factory after this.
Okay. I honestly could just talk to Kash Patel all day long. It's so fun.
I mean, we could fucking do that someday, dude.
We could just come in and do 3 hours of me talking with Kash Patel. Kash Patel could be my co-host.
Like have it be an interview and have people think it's fucking real, dude.
Yeah, I think one day we're gonna have to have Kash Patel. When Kurt is in here, we'll have to have Kash Patel sit in. I think that's the
absolutely, dude.
That's the only way to do this. Okay, fucking sick. He's fucking clutch.
Fucking sick, dude. I'll get Randy and them to call in, too.
Yeah, definitely. Get Randy and them.
Sunglasses, Phil.
Okay, hey, this is Jimmy. Who's this?
Whoa, this is Al Pacino.
Ah, legendary actor, friend of the show, Al Pacino. Nice to hear from you, Al, but I must say, with all that's going on right now, I'm not really sure why we're getting a phone call from Al Pacino.
It is hot outside.
Oh, yeah, fine. Hearing that one thing is always a good reason. But other than that, I mean, what is this about?
Jimmy, it's that time of year again. The Academy Awards are on the damn TV.
Oh, that's right. The Oscars are coming up, and you always call in and give us your picks, right?
The Academy Awards.
Yeah.
I know I don't give picks. As usual, I haven't seen any of these fucking pictures. I just call and talk shit about them. It's an annual tradition.
Okay, well, let's get into it then.
I like that pep. Every year, my favorite to win Best Picture is the movie I like saying the most. And this year, one clear winner stands heads and shoulders above the rest.
Which one is that?
Bugonia!
Bugonia?
Bugonia.
And what is Bugonia about?
I ain't got no idea. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Basically, the kid from Friday Night Light kidnaps Emma Stone, who is some famous lady, and she shaves her head. Beyond that, it's anybody's guess. Bugonia!
All right. What else?
One battle after another, which is not about bathroom schedule, believe it or not. This one has Leo DiCaprio in a ponytail, a black lady named Jungle Pussy, and a secret white supremacist organization, and Sean Penn with a stupid fucking haircut. I give it 5 stars, just on that alone. On the other hand, you got Marty Supreme.
Marty Supreme.
Marty fucking Supreme. Which is not about Martin Scorsese, I come to find out. It stars Timothy Chalamet, that little skinny fuck that no one likes, playing a cocky table tennis player. And that's it, Jimmy. Ping pong. This movie is about ping pong.
No thanks.
No, thank you indeed. I'd rather see a miniature golf biopic.
Any picks for Best Actor?
Well, Leo is nominated for one fucking thing after another, whatever I just said. This would be his first Academy Award. And I'm rooting for him because if he wins, he might finally get laid after all these years. But Timothy Chalamet is also nominated. Believe me, if he wins, I'm going to order a drone strike on that fucking theater.
Okay, all right.
Best Actress, you got 5 lovely birds nominated. Favorite is Jessie Buckley for Hamnet. Hamnet, which is not about a sneaky way to catch a pig, as it turns out. It's about William Shakespeare and his wife, Veronica Shakespeare, some shit. It was supposed to be called Hamlet, but an intern messed it up, and it went out like that, and there's nothing they could do. Happens very often in this business.
Wait, really?
Oh, sure. Dog Day Afternoon was supposed to be called Monday Afternoon, but they fucked it up. But we liked the new title after a while. It's just a movie after all.
All right. Okay.
But the movie everybody's talking about that swept the nomination is Ryan Coogler's Sinners. In this picture, as far as I can tell, a bunch of black folks fight Irish vampires.
What's an Irish vampire?
No, I mean, they're vampires from Ireland.
Oh.
Irish vampires, not a specific thing.
Okay.
I don't get it either. No one associates Ireland with vampires.
No.
But I think Coogler just thought, I want the most evil white fucking people I can think of. And vampires are the most evil, and Irish are the most white. So he, combined them.
That's a lot. It's a lot of nominations.
All the fucking nominations, Jimmy. I'd be shocked if Sinners didn't sweep the awards. Everybody in the world's a huge fucking racist, and we should protest.
Okay, will you be watching?
Not unless I'm accidentally in the theater somehow, you?
No, I never watch.
Well, then why do we do this every year?
I got no idea. You're the one who calls me.
Wait a minute. Is this Billy Bush?
No, Al, it's Jimmy Dore.
God damn it. God damn it. I got to figure this fucking phone thing out. I can't believe this. Okay. I'm hanging up and I'm trying to call Billy by pressing this button. Okay, not that one. This one. Hello?
Yeah?
Billy?
No, it's still Jimmy. You haven't hung up on me yet. You need to do that before you place another call. Misha, could you please hang up on Mr. Pacino? We both need to get going. Goodbye, Al.
Bye-bye.
Okay. All right. That was fantastic. Love you.
All right. Love you too, baby.
Okay, pal. We got to go. Anything you want to plug before we say goodbye?
Yeah, Mike McRae online on Instagram, MACRAE. I'll be posting about a show here at the Velveeta Room in Austin, Texas. That is this Sunday at 8 p.m. TheVelveetaRoom.com.
Oh, I didn't know. This Sunday. Are you headlining or are you just doing a spot?
Just doing a spot.
Okay, everybody check out
During South by Southwest, I guess.
Say it again?
During South by Southwest, I guess.
Oh, really? This Sunday at the Velveeta Room in Austin, Mike McRae will be there. Go check him out. He's brilliant. Okay, Mikey. Thank you, pal.
Arrivederci.
All right, we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back with our guest, Dave DeCamp from antiwar.com. Hey, if you watch the show, you already know the corporate news doesn't inform you. It manages you. That's why I've been partnering with Ground News for more than a year now. It's a website and an app that lets you compare how the same story is covered across the media, all in one place. You pull up a story, and Ground News instantly organizes thousands of sources about it. Then it shows you visual breakdowns for political bias, reliability, and who owns the outlets reporting it. Let me show you how it works. Here's a story about thousands protesting after the fatal ICE shooting of Renee Good. Now, right away, you can see over 450 outlets reported on it, and Ground News pulls all these sources into one page. You can also see the bias distribution. This story has a mostly center and left-leaning coverage. And as you scroll, it shows you reliability and ownership, so you can spot when multiple outlets are really just the same corporate machine. Now, my favorite part is comparing headlines. On the left, you'll have outlets like Raw Story that say, they just want an excuse to rage. MAGA melts down over planned nationwide ICE protests. And on the right, 1010 WCSI says left-wing group backs tens of thousands of anti-ICE agitators nationwide. Same story, two totally different headlines. Ground News makes that obvious in seconds because you're looking at it all side by side. And I especially like their blind spot feed, which highlights stories that are disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum and ignored by another. It's basically a cheat code for finding what your team isn't telling you. If you're tired of realizing you've been stuck in an algorithm bubble, this is how you start popping it. So, yeah, Ground News is a lot like this show. They're doing what we're doing, trying to cut through the garbage and give you the full picture. And best of all, they're giving my viewers 40% off their Vantage plan, which is what I use and includes access to all their features. This discount is only available through my link, so go to groundnews.com/JD. Scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description to get started for about $5 a month and support an independent news platform working to make the media landscape more transparent. Hey, you may have seen the conversations happening online lately. Censorship is back. It's happening everywhere. Platforms are controlling narratives and pushing the stuff they want us to see. We need to fight back. Rumble is the only company that has stood the test of time and deserves our support. On one side, Rumble is challenging the big tech censorship, but now on the other side, they have introduced something that will give us protection from the big banks shutting us off. Banks can cancel our accounts and freeze our cards. That's why they've launched Rumble Wallet, a wallet that no one can cancel and wallet that supporters can use to instantly tip creators like myself without any middleman taking a cut. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money. Not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, not even Rumble can touch it. It's yours, only yours to protect your future and family. You can buy and save digital assets like Bitcoin, Tether, gold, and now the new USAT, Tether's U.S. regulated stablecoin in one place. Tether Gold is real gold on the blockchain with ownership of physical gold bars. USAT keeps your money steady against inflation, no banks needed. It's not only a wallet to buy and save, but it will also allow you to support your favorite creators by easily tipping them with a click of a button. There will be no fees when you tip my channel or others, and we actually receive the tip instantly, unlike other platforms where we have to wait for payouts. Support my show and other creators by clicking the tip button on my Rumble channel. It's wallet.rumble.com. Download Rumble Wallet today, open an account, and step away from the big banks for good. Wallet.rumble.com or search Rumble Wallet in the app stores. Hey, welcome back to the show. We got special guests with us. Dave DeCamp is here. He's the news editor and columnist for antiwar.com, where he's worked since 2018. He also hosts a daily podcast called Anti-War News with Dave DeCamp, providing analysis on U.S. foreign policy from a non-interventionist perspective. Welcome to the show, Dave DeCamp. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Jimmy. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Good to see you, pal. I just wanted to get your take on a few things where it's kind of right up your alley. Now, there doesn't seem to be, nobody knows what the goal is for this war or what we want out of it, and nobody knows what the end point is. Nobody knows. So here's Trump. He gave a speech on Monday where he just gave vague and contradictory reports on if we won the war, if we're going to end the war, when's the war. So at the most consequential moments of his 2 terms in office, wartime President Trump on Monday delivered a vague and contradictory forecast for how long the United States will continue to fight in Iran and what the ultimate goal of the U.S. military campaign is going to be. Reporters tried to get him to tell us, and they said, you said the war is very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it? I think you could say both, Trump replied. It's the beginning of building a new country. But the problem with that is Trump and his top advisors had ruled out managing an effort at nation building in Iran. Hours have passed, and indeed Trump's own vision for the Iran seems to change with every telephone call he has taken from a reporter in the last 10 days. We could call it a tremendous success right now. We could go further, and we are going to go further. All right, so here is Witkoff. So now this is the guy who's supposed to be negotiating all this. He says he doesn't know when the war is going to end. U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff acknowledged on Tuesday that he doesn't know if the war in Iran and the U.S.-Israel airstrikes on an Islamic Republic or Iranian counterattacks will continue. Here it is. Hey, how's this war going to end, they ask him.
So how do you see this ending, this war?
I don't know, Sarah. I know this, that President Trump is the wrong guy to go up against. That's what I know.
Okay, so Trump doesn't know when the war is supposed to end or how it's going to end or even what they want out of this war. Now Steve Witkoff has no idea when it's going to end. They led the negotiations, him and Kushner, with Iran in the weeks leading up to the attacks. But after the war started, Witkoff claimed that during the first round of talks, Iranian officials said they had enough nuclear material to build 11 nuclear bombs and that they were proud of it. But a diplomat involved in the negotiations said that never happened. I can categorically state that this is inaccurate, a Persian Gulf diplomat involved in the negotiation told MS Now. Witkoff was referring to Iran's stockpile of uranium that's enriched to 60%, which is believed to be buried under rubble following the June 2025 airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, and is still below the 90% needed for weapon-grade uranium. The night before the U.S. and Israel began bombing Iran, Oman's foreign minister, who mediated the negotiations, said Iran was willing to give up its stockpile of enriched uranium to reach a deal, and it didn't matter. So during the negotiations, Witkoff also made the false claim that Iran could have material to make a bomb within a week, despite the fact that Iran is unable to enrich uranium following the June 25 strikes that President Trump obliterated their nuclear program. Trump has also repeated similar claims and said Monday that he launched the war based on advice of Witkoff, Kushner, Secretary of State Pete Hegseth, and Secretary Marco Rubio. In my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others are telling me, and Marco, that I thought they were going to attack us. The day after the U.S. and Israel started the war, Pentagon officials told Congress that there was no indication Iran was planning to strike U.S. or Israel without being attacked first. So I just want to read you this quick. I just found this before we came into the studio. Riza Nassari says, Steve Witkoff is on a media tour to explain away his failures at the negotiating table with Iran. He's now smears FM... how do you say that name? Aragchi? I'm going to say Aragchi, who, unlike him, is seasoned and notoriously serious diplomat, claiming the Iranian foreign minister lacked willingness to reach a deal, lacked authority, was threatening, shouting, and all sorts of other nonsense. The truth is very different. In one of the 3 rounds of negotiations, Witkoff showed up late to the meeting and then went off to have breakfast. He had no knowledge whatsoever of the technical nuclear issues under discussion. He could not even use the correct terminology when referring to basic technical matters. He was clueless about past agreements, did not bother to take notes, and could not even grasp Iran's proposals. He had not even bothered to bring along a State Department diplomat or a technical expert who could explain to him what the Iranian negotiators were actually talking about. At the first meeting in Geneva, he cut the discussion short to attend talks in Ukraine, which he had conveniently scheduled on the same day to avoid having to travel twice. In another meeting, he reportedly stepped off his private plane half sober and pretended to agree with everything Iran proposed, only to later reverse himself and tell a completely different story to the U.S. media. Foreign Minister Ergachi could dismantle every one of Witkoff's claims simply by releasing fully or even partially Iran's proposals. That alone would show that Witkoff is either clueless, lying, or more likely acting on behalf of Netanyahu rather than the U.S. administration. The U.S. Congress and the intelligence community would do well to investigate whether he was actually pursuing American interests or effectively taking his cues from a foreign government, namely Israel. The American people deserve to know. And finally, ask why he pretended talks were progressing to the Iranian counterpart and the Omani mediator and reported the opposite to his boss. In fact, if what he reported to Trump is the same fiction he's now feeding the U.S. media, then he bears direct responsibility for helping ignite a regional war. Was Witkoff a traitor to his boss, to peace, or to both? Now, Dave, take that wherever you'd like. It seems like they were not negotiating in good faith. Once again, let's remember they were negotiating with the Palestinians in Qatar when Israel bombed them. And now it seems like this was another phony negotiation because they had planned to bomb Iran anyway. What do you make of this?
Yeah, the one place where I would disagree with Reza there is that he said Steve Witkoff failed at the negotiations. But I think it was pretty clear that the purpose of the negotiations was to buy time until the U.S. could position more military assets in the region to start this war. I was of the opinion that a decision was made at the end of December when Netanyahu visited Mar-a-Lago that they were going to launch another war against Iran. And Trump basically said it to the media. He was asked, about the missile program, and he said that if Iran continues its missiles, then we're gonna attack them. And then in January, when the protests were really heating up, all indications were that a U.S. airstrike on Iran was imminent. And then they backed down. And according to the reporting at the time, Netanyahu was the one who told Trump not now, because they wanted to get more military assets, air defenses, aircraft carriers, and things in the region. So I thought it was clear pretty much that whole time from January until this started that this was coming and the purpose of these negotiations was to buy time. And I became even more certain of that in the last few weeks when Witkoff was going on TV and claiming that Iran could have enough material to build a bomb within a week. And also what him and Trump started saying is, oh, Iran, they just won't say that they don't want a nuclear weapon. They won't make that commitment. But it's literally Iran's state policy that they will never build nuclear weapons. And people can argue, that they don't believe them or whatever, but that's not even the claim that they were making. Trump said this in the State of the Union, that they wouldn't say the words, no nuclear weapons. And the whole thing is really just absurd. The lies that we're being told. It's a very low effort propaganda campaign that's happening here. A big part of what we do at antiwar.com is try to poke through the war propaganda, debunk, the phony narratives as you do on your show. But this has been difficult because they're just making crap up. I mean, like when I wrote that story the other day about Witkoff, it's just such BS that he is saying. And it's, and you see Trump, they're floating around all these different reasons for going to war. The White House at one point said, President Trump had a feeling that Iran was going to attack. And that's what they launched the war based on. So the whole thing, and also J.D. Vance claiming that they're trying to build a nuclear weapon. That was another sign that I knew that this war was coming, just because of the lies, just the blatant, brazen lies. And now we've also seen them lie about this massacre at the elementary school in Iran that was bombed by the U.S. in the first hours of this war. And so, I'm just really disgusted with this administration, all the top officials and Witkoff. And, he was doing this with Jared Kushner, and they were, collaborating with Netanyahu basically the whole time, speaking with Netanyahu and the head of the Mossad and other Israeli officials every day. So they were never serious about peace or about diplomacy.
So you wouldn't say that Witkoff was lying to Trump about how the negotiations were going, that Trump actually instructed him through, or he was instructed by Bibi Netanyahu, because that's who's really running this war, to not negotiate in good faith and just stall. So Witkoff wasn't in essence lying to Trump, and that's why he started the war. He was doing what he was told, right?
Yeah, I mean that's what I've gathered. You know, it's impossible for me to know for sure, but because again, just the way Trump has been lying throughout this whole thing. I mean, literally, that the State of the Union when he said Iran won't say they won't build nuclear weapons, the Iranian foreign minister said just that like a few hours before. So yeah, I think that this was the plan, and Trump himself was set. It looked like to bomb Iran in early January. So yeah, I think they're all in on this. And now, though, as Witkoff said there, how does this end? I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, it was very obvious how this was going to go. You know, there's even a U.S. intelligence report that was completed a week before the war started that said a large-scale attack on Iran is not going to result in regime change. And now they've just, you know, the Iranian missiles and drones are still flying across the region. The Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed. And that's one reason why I think so. On Monday, you had that quote there from Trump saying, I forget exactly what he said, but like, oh, the war is very much complete. And then he backtracked. I think that was him trying to juke the markets because on Sunday night, oil went up to like $120 a barrel. And then it went down. And then him saying that brought it down again. So I think that's a big part of why Trump is all over the place here. But at the same time, I think they don't really know where they're going with this and what their next step is. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like, you know, I see some people saying he should just declare victory and call it a day. I just don't see that happening.
Well, how do you see this ending? Let me just ask you that. How do you see it ending?
I mean, I really don't know, to be honest, because right now, Iran's message is, you know, if you want a ceasefire, it's too late, you know, too bad, basically. And I think Iran sees blood in the water because, you know, we see the U.S. running out of the Patriot and THAAD, you know, their advanced air defense interceptors, and they're pulling stuff in from other regions. And, you know, I think Iran probably has a whole bunch of these drones that are causing trouble that, according to the Pentagon, they're having the most trouble intercepting their cheap Shahed drones that they can produce, you know, very quickly. And from Iran's perspective, if there's a ceasefire is reached, then they're going to expect another attack to happen 6 months to a year. You know, there's no trust. They bombed them twice during negotiations now. So, you know, I can't imagine this ending within the next few weeks or months. Unfortunately, I hope it does, but it just seems like this is going to really drag out. And the question is, like, what's the next escalation? Iran has some options when it comes to escalation. The Houthis in Yemen, for example, as far as I'm aware, they have not entered the war. They say they're ready to do it. And, you know, we could see an escalation of attacks on oil infrastructure. If the Houthis wanted to, they could really hit the Saudi and UAE oil fields and stuff. And then what's the escalation option for the U.S.? I mean, dropping more bombs on Iran and potentially sending in troops, special operations missions. But to do what exactly? You know, they say that they want to capture the enriched uranium, but I believe it's buried under a mountain. So I don't know how they're supposed to do that. But yeah, all signs kind of point to this dragging out for at least a few months.
And what do you see as do you have any predictions on what the world will look like after?
Well, I mean, this could be a real turning point when it comes to, I mean, this is just my feeling. This isn't like me, you know, from what I do for antiwar.com, following all this stuff. But this does kind of feel to me like this could be the beginning of the end for the American empire, whatever exactly that means. It might result in some sort of retreat by the U.S. from the region. And I think, you know, I don't think that would happen immediately, but in the coming years. I mean, just look at it. You see the Arab countries, you know, they were sold, okay, we could have these U.S. bases. We're going to get these nice missiles and they're going to protect us. Well, it turns out having a U.S. base on your territory is a huge liability. And, you know, so I think they're certainly questioning this whole arrangement. And despite what we've seen a lot of claims that like the Saudis have entered the war against Iran, but that still hasn't happened. We haven't seen any Saudi or UAE attacks on Iran, even though their, you know, drones are hitting their territory. They're still, for the most part, you know, not joining the war on the side of the U.S. and Israel.
So do you agree that first of all, I don't know what the Gulf states get out of having our bases in their countries except to make them targets when the United States starts another war with Iran. That I don't understand what they thought they were getting out of it. They thought, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, the Gulf states thought that they were getting protection from the United States military by having their bases in their country, and then they'll continue to the petrodollar, and that we will give them military cover and support and defense. And it's obvious, and from day one of the United States attacking Iran, that the United States is not going to defend the Gulf states whatsoever. They're only going to defend Israel. So what is in it now for the Gulf states to continue to partner with the United States? And why did they really make it that big of a miscalculation at first? And now what's in it for them? So that's the two-part question.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point about Israel, because what we've seen is apparently the U.S. has brought stuff from its bases in these Gulf countries and moved it to Israel, to better protect Israel. That the U.S. is prioritizing the defense of Israel over these countries. And what did they expect to get out of it? I mean, as you mentioned, the petrodollar and the trade relationship is very big. And, the dynamic has kind of changed in the Middle East in recent years. Saudi Arabia and Iran, for example, were very hostile. But a few years ago, China brokered a normalization agreement between them. And it seems like the Saudis, MBS, kind of had different calculations on how they were going to handle certain things in the region, including the war in Yemen. That was a brutal war that the U.S. backed. And since they reached a ceasefire with the Houthis in 2022, and the reason why they reached that was because their missiles and drones started hitting their oil fields. We saw Joe Biden bomb Yemen, bomb the Houthis, or they're also known as Ansar Allah. They're the ruling government in the area of Yemen where most people live. They're called the Houthi rebels in all the U.S. media, but they're the government. They've been in power since 2014. But anyway, so when Joe Biden was bombing them, the Saudis didn't want anything to do with it. When Trump was bombing them last year, the Saudis still didn't want anything to do with it. And I think the natural state, if the U.S. pulled back, we would see kind of this rapprochement between the Saudis, the Sunni monarchs with Iran. But the U.S. is kind of straining that relationship, and something that Israel really wanted with these normalization deals, with the Abraham Accords, was to form this kind of anti-Iran alliance in the region. So I think that is also part of why we saw some of these Gulf countries welcome the U.S., or let the U.S. military stay there for so long, after Desert Storm, is that they were also hostile against Iran. But that seems to have changed. So yeah, I don't think there's much in it for them now. There is the chance, again, though, that there are more escalations here, that we start seeing the Saudi oil fields really get hit, and then maybe they do actually enter the war, and that could kind of change things.
Well, we know Israel already bombed Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia is aware of that, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I've seen, from Saudi media that they're saying that not all these drones are Iranian, essentially alleging that there's some Mossad Israeli false flags happening. And that, that is in Israel's interest to strain relations between them and Iran. I mean, you look at Iraq, Iraq is obviously a different situation, but it's like everybody's, for many years, actually, the kind of proxy war between the U.S. and Iran was fought in Iraq. But this hasn't really got much media coverage, is that there's all these drones flying at U.S. bases. The U.S. is bombing the Shia militias there. There's all these protests at the U.S. embassy. The parliament is chanting, death to America. And, the U.S. still has bases there. It's just the whole thing is just such a mess across the region.
Oh, the chanting. I can't take the chanting. Wow. God. Wow. Sure, we slaughter their children. They're 11-year-old girls, but we don't chant while we do it. That is so offensive, the chanting. So where do you think at the end of this, where do you think that leaves the Gulf states? Because they now know that their partnership with the United States is worthless. So now I've had someone on the show say that they're going to stop investing their money because they don't have any money because the Strait of Hormuz is closed, but they're going to stop investing their money, their oil money, into our stock market, which will crash our stock market and then crash our economy. So do you think that's going to happen? And what is in it for them to remain in a relationship with the United States after this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's possible. There's just a lot of unknowns, but as you said, with the Strait of Hormuz closed, and another big thing, I mean, especially for the UAE, the fact that you have drones crashing in Abu Dhabi, this is supposed to be a safe, very modern city, and they attract wealthy foreigners to live there. So, their kind of prestige, that image is taking a real hit. So yeah, I would expect, it depends how it ends. If this ends relatively soon and it doesn't turn into, we don't see these Gulf states getting in on the war actually against Iran, then I think we would probably see that. But there is that chance, and big things could happen, especially in Bahrain, because their population is majority Shia. They're Shiite Muslims. The king is a Sunni who's allied with the U.S., who normalized with Israel. The people don't like that, and we've seen all these videos of U.S. drone attacks, not U.S. drone attacks, Iranian drone attacks on U.S. bases, and the people are cheering. And they've really cracked down on that. So there's always the chance for like an uprising, or destabilizing kind of events happening, especially in Bahrain and Kuwait. Kuwait doesn't have a Shia majority, but they have a lot of Shias. And, these countries are right there. I mean, they're like right next to Iran.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that the people there are not happy about being in the middle of this for the U.S. and Israel. I mean, these are Arab Muslim people. I'm sure that they're not thrilled about what's going on here.
And, I mean, they also bombed Dubai. So Dubai, Abu Dhabi, you're right that was considered a safe haven for Westerners to go to this country, and it was safe and it's brand new and it's cosmopolitan. And now they're fleeing, correct? Because there's no defense when someone bombs them. So now they know it's not a safe place. So it's kind of over for the United Arab Emirates. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's over, but I think they're certainly taking a hit. It depends a lot on how long this lasts and what kind of the situation is. I mean, if there is a ceasefire but nothing's resolved, then people are going to stay out of there. If this could happen again, then yeah, they're really going to take a hit. And that was another thing. I mean, there was Americans, like the embassies in these countries, the U.S. embassies were saying, oh, you should try to leave the country if you can, but don't ask us for help. Like right. They didn't have any preparations. Mike Huckabee was on video telling Americans in Israel to take a bus to Egypt.
Yeah.
And another thing, so like there's reporting that these Gulf countries, because a lot of them have the Patriot missile defenses and U.S. made air defense systems, they're running very low on the munitions, and they're asking the U.S. like, hey, we need some more missiles here. And apparently the U.S. is not getting back to them, as just like, worrying about themselves and Israel at the moment. So yeah, all these things, I think for when it comes to long-term U.S. relationship with these countries and presence is certainly going to be on the decline after this.
Is the United States and Israel, that their big refrain is how they don't target innocents. They'll go on every news show. The difference between us and Iran is we never target innocent people or civilians, which of course we know that's not true. But do you have any evidence that that's happening directly right now? I mean, of course they blew up that school with girls from 7 to 11 years old. They did that for sure. They bombed their police departments, right? They did that for sure. They bombed hospital in Iran. And now they've bombed their desalinization plants, which then cuts off water for civilians. So that is a war crime. So they are targeting civilians, right?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I can tell, they're both U.S. and Israeli strikes, and one thing that they've tried to do, Hegseth has tried to do this, is kind of distance themselves, like those airstrikes on the oil infrastructure around Tehran that rained oil down on the city.
Right.
Hegseth said, "Oh, that was Israel. That wasn't us." They're trying to act like there's a difference there. I mean, they launched the war together. Israel's whole war effort is relying on the U.S. And so, but we've seen reports both from Iranian government sources, and there's an NGO that's based in the U.S. that's funded by the NED that was basically set up to be very, critical of the Iranian government. But they have taken to reporting on the civilian casualties in this war, and they're very high, at least 1,200 civilians killed. And so, and as you mentioned, those types of targets keep getting hit over and over. And they're putting out these statements like, Hegseth is claiming that they're launching missiles from schools and stuff. And we just haven't seen any evidence of that. So they're kind of ceding the ground to justify killing civilians. And one thing I'll say, that this went very under the radar. This was back in 2025. when Trump launched this bombing campaign against the Houthis in Yemen to try to get them to stop targeting Israel and blocking Israeli shipping. I think it was April 17th, 2025. The U.S. bombed a fuel port in Yemen, the Ras Issa fuel port, and killed 84.
Who did?
The U.S.
U.S. bombed Yemen. A what port?
The Ras Issa fuel port in Hodeidah on the Red Sea.
Okay.
And they killed 84 civilians. It was a massacre. And when U.S. Central Command put out a statement on the airstrike, they didn't claim that they were hitting a civilian. They didn't claim that they were hitting a military target. Their claim was, oh, this is a fuel port. The Houthis, make money on the fuel that comes in and out of here. So they basically acknowledged that they're targeting civilian infrastructure and justifying it. I mean, any government with a fuel port makes money off of things that go in and out of there. And this is something that just barely got any attention. It was verified by Air Wars, which, they follow up on this stuff, that everyone who was killed was a civilian. 84 people. One of the worst massacres of civilians, in recent U.S. military history. And then, of course, that's been one up now by the elementary school. But so in that case, yeah, they did intentionally target civilians.
And can you give us any more information about the United States targeting their desalination? So they don't have water, right? That's the problem with the Middle East. There's no water, so they have these desalination plants. They take seawater and they get the salt out of it, and then they have clean, fresh water to drink. And we target, so that the whole, GCC is like that, right? They all are like that. They all use desalination. And so Iran could very easily do the same thing to those Gulf states, to Saudi Arabia and UAE and all of them, but they didn't on purpose. Because it's a war crime, and they also didn't hit their oil fields because they don't want them to hit. Iran doesn't want their desalination plants to be bombed, and they don't want their oil production to be bombed. But so do you have any more info on what exactly happened and what's the results of the United States committing this? It's really an atrocity. So that's 100% targeting civilians by targeting their fresh drinking water, which again, it's a huge war crime, and that's why you're not supposed to do it. But do you have any more info on that and what the fallout from that is?
No, on that particular strike, I should follow up on that. I haven't checked to see what the situation is for the people in that area now, but according to the reports, and this does seem to be confirmed, it was a U.S. strike. And then there was reports that a drone hit one of these plants in Bahrain as a retaliation. But as far as what has been the consequences there for the people, I really don't know. But this is, clearly a war crime. If you're targeting the water supply to a civilian population, I don't know how you get around that, trying to justify that. I remember Trump was asked about it. Did you hear that? And
no.
He said his response was, the Iranians are horrible people. They're chopping babies' heads off. That was what he said. It's just like,
or he doesn't know. He just spews talking points from another war, and he doesn't even know. That's basically what Israel was saying about Hamas. So now he's just repeating that.
Yeah, that appears to be what it is. After he just massacred a bunch of elementary school kids in Iran.
Right. It's like if he had a headless baby in his hand, saying those guys are chopping babies' heads off. Oh wait, don't pay any attention to this though. I'm going to put this inside. So, okay. Let me ask you this, Dave. What do you think, besides the Houthi story? What do you think is not what is the mainstream press in the United States missing? What's the big story they're missing about all this, and they won't report?
Well, I mean, we saw the way with that the school bombing was kind of slow road. They really slow rolled the reporting on it, when it was very clear, like the day after, that the U.S. did it. And I know Hegseth, they must have known that it was a U.S. strike. But the media, it's kind of funny, because the Trump administration, they're just lying so much. There's actually been some pretty good media coverage countering all their lies and everything, because it's just so brazen. But when it comes to things that people might be missing here, I think it's important for Americans to understand, because I don't think this is really being conveyed in the media, is that Iran has room for escalation. that they're not, as much on the back foot as they're kind of portraying it. People look at the numbers. Oh, we killed a whole bunch of Iranians, and they've only killed 8 Americans. As far as that's another thing, is that it does appear that the U.S. military is not. They're definitely not. They've been lying about the casualties. It was just revealed that at least 150 U.S. troops have been wounded. They've confirmed 8 deaths so far. But again, Iran has room here to escalate, and the U.S. is in some trouble here. And I think people might not really understand that.
What expand on that? What kind of trouble? Why do you say they're in trouble?
Well, just because there's not really a way out, and because if you look at the damage, the New York Times actually had a report on this, the damage at all the U.S. military bases across the region. They've hit radar sites, the THAAD systems, and it appears that Iran still has a lot of advanced ballistic missiles that they haven't used yet, and that essentially their strategy in the beginning is to soften up these U.S. targets by hitting the radar sites and things. And then later on breaking out the bigger missiles. So we could see some pretty, we've already seen some major attacks on these bases, but we could see a lot more there. And Iran is not asking for a ceasefire. They're saying that they don't want a ceasefire, that they're going to keep going here. And
what do you think their end game is then, Iran?
Well, their end game is if they survive this, then that's a victory for Iran. But I think they want to inflict enough pain on the U.S. here and its allies in the region that there is more of a victory for them. That they say they want guarantees that they're not going to be attacked again. And I think that a long drawn out war with a lot of pain for the U.S. and its allies is something that could do that.
I mean, Israel doesn't care. In fact, Israel wants to get the United States out of the Middle East also, so they could be the superpower in the Middle East. Right? Am I wrong about that? Don't they? That's the story that no one's talking about, I think, in the United States, is that Israel actually wants to get rid of CENTCOM, and Israel actually wants to get the United States out of the Middle East, and they want to be the superpower there. And does your reporting confirm that?
Well, I think maybe they want to get there eventually, but right now, I mean, they're completely reliant on CENTCOM. If they didn't have CENTCOM, they wouldn't be able to wage this war unless they just nuked Iran. That is kind of a whole nother factor here that people, that this is a better answer to your earlier question. What is the thing that that's not being discussed? And it's the fact that Israel has nuclear weapons. There's indications that Israel was, threatening to use them if the U.S. didn't back this war. And that's always a possibility. There's heavy censorship in Israel right now, but everything indicates that they're getting hit pretty hard by Iranian missiles. And now Hezbollah is starting to get some shots in on them. And there's always a possibility, if this drags out for a long time, that Israel breaks out the nuclear weapons. I mean, would any of us put it past them now after what they did in Gaza? So that's kind of a whole nother thing here. But I think Israel doesn't want to be in a position where the U.S. constrains them at all. And that's one reason why Netanyahu wanted to do this now, because of the changing tide in the U.S. when it comes to feelings about Israel. He realizes this administration, I mean, this is the most Zionist, pro-Israel administration probably ever, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
But he sees this as kind of his last opportunity for the Iran war. And I think they do want to eventually get to the point where they can do this stuff and they don't need to rely on that U.S. support. But they're so reliant on it now. This is why it's such a crime for the U.S. to support Israel, because, their whole Air Force is reliant on it's not like they just get the planes from the U.S., they get the bombs from the U.S., but all the planes are maintained, by Pentagon contractors. They need all of this. Our militaries are very intertwined. So maybe eventually they want to get the U.S. out of the way, but it would take a long time before they weren't completely reliant on the U.S.
Okay. Let me set up the next story. Throw it to Steph.
Okay. Thank you, Jimmy. Hey, this Saturday, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be doing our book club. We're going to be reading, I think we're going to be all the way through chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so check that out. And we'll be seeing you about 1 p.m. on Saturday, I'm pretty sure. All right. Thank you for all your super chats. Let's see what we have here today. Jimmy, get ready for the hate. Many want to discredit these truths. And that is from Habitat. Hold on, Habitat.
Many want to discredit what?
Truth. Bam. Rorschach, you left it too late, America. All those kids who died for your Second Amendment rights died for nothing. That was from, did I say, Rorschach?
Well, they never seem to use their Second Amendment rights for what they claim they're for.
Right?
They claim their Second Amendment rights are to prevent the government from doing tyranny. Well, the government's been doing tyranny for quite a while.
Yes.
But they never seem to use it for that. I'm not saying they should.
All right. Thank you. This is from Bessa. Bam, Bessa. Jimmy is a journalist, and he deserves to win Emmys every year at his own YouTube show. His comedy is A+ as well. I haven't seen another channel that got it right since he predicted the winning of Trump. Oh, and his wife is also very kind. I'll let her know that. I will let her know. And that was from Bessa. Thanks very much. MK Ultra from A. Barnes. Andrew says, like current war matching the planetary alignment. Andrew, you're back. It's called the World Debt Reset Program into NWO. Israel and the Christian Zionists are willing to sacrifice the U.S. and the rest of the world for the greater Israel project and the rapture. 5 Harpy. Please, Jeebus, let Mike McRae's first voice be Professor Zhang, Mark Dansky. Steph, you should run Kirp's Patouche video in between sets. Sound Chaser, thanks for the recommendation, Sound Chaser. We'll think about doing that. I want a t-shirt. Short-term pain for long-term gain, but I need a punchline. Punchlines. Let's see what those punchlines are. Medial grandeur. We don't see it ending. We get money to build bombs. We get money for expensive gas prices. War is good. Thank you, Johnson. Take a step back and listen to what you're saying. Negotiate what? Slavery terms.
Okay.
At the gym.
So I'm here with Dave DeCamp from antiwar.com, and there has been a PSYOP going out, or a talking point that everyone's repeating, and the PSYOP is that there's going to be short-term pain, but we're going to have long-term gain, right? So that's what they're saying. Short-term oil prices, which will drop rapidly when the destruction of Iran nuclear threat is over, is a very small price to pay for the USA and the world's safety and peace. Only fools would think differently. President. Okay, again, Iran was not threatening the world. It's the United States that is threatening the world's stability, and we're doing so. And so here is the message that just went out. It's all about short-term pain.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain with long-term gain.
Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain. Short-term spike for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain for American consumers. We may have to deal with that in the short term.
Short-term and temporary.
Temporary, short-term pain.
It's going to suck in the short term.
Some short-term pain.
Short-term pain. We have to focus on the short term.
Short-term.
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 Short-term and long-term.
Short-term blip.
Hopefully this is a short-term pain. Short-term is highly outweighed of the long-term benefits.
Some short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain.
Okay, so that's, and as Max Blumenthal says, from a purely political point of view, Trump has already lost this war. So I just want to remind people, first of all, here's some of that. This is how the talking points go out. Remember when the Democrats did this and they were trying to, everybody was saying that J.D. Vance was weird? Remember that? This is how it works.
Some of what he and his running mate are saying, it's just plain weird.
These guys are just weird. That's where they are.
As weird and creepy as J.D. Vance. A super weird idea from J.D. Vance.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's quite weird. They're just plain weird.
Just plain
Weird. Just plain weird.
That stuff is weird. They come across weird, and then they start being weird. Yeah, they're weird.
Being a really weird.
He's such a weirdo.
Donald Trump and his weirdo running mate are weird. Deeply and profoundly weird. They are weird.
These Republicans just being weird. It's just weird. It's really weird.
Republican weirdness goes even deeper.
He said a lot of things that are weird, a weird style that he brings, weird policies. Let's start with the weird thing, because it is a thing.
Just plain weird.
What was weird was talking about Diet Mountain Dew. Who drinks Diet Mountain Dew?
You ever seen the guy laugh? That seems very weird to me that an adult can go through 6.5 years of being in the public eye. If he has laughed, it's at someone, not with someone. That is weird behavior.
Weird and cultish.
These are weird people on the other side.
Kind of doubled down on his weird ideas.
I think weird is probably generous.
Simply weird. These guys are just plain weird. Vance as weird.
You know, as the campaign said, weird.
It really is just plain weird.
So you get it. You get that that's how, hang on, let me fix this. You get that that's how it works, right? That they let me fix this. Go over to Steph for a second.
All right, you're back with Steph, ladies and gentlemen, taking a moment.
Happened to that.
Here we go. Let's see
Here it
here.
is.
Take a step back and listen to what you're saying. Negotiate what? Slavery Gyms. That was from Black Box Grid Revolt.
Okay.
All right.
So here,
That's Jim.
so just to let you know what the short-term pain is, here's the short-term pain. It's your gas prices.
And as the war continues, the national average for a gallon of gas is up nearly 50 cents since the war started 1 week ago.
Here in Los Angeles County, the average for a gallon of regular unleaded is now well over the $5 mark, spiking 17 cents overnight. As Eyewitness News reporter Madison Weil tells us, the price is now more than $8 a gallon at one local gas station.
If you filled up your tank this week, you probably saw it. Gas prices across SoCal once again on the rise.
I mean, I drive Uber and I'm just getting killed right now. I mean, gas prices are so high and, you know, they were high before this war.
According to AAA, gas prices were already rising in line with seasonal norms when the joint U.S.-Israel attack on Iran sent oil prices soaring. Prices at the pump now up almost 50 cents a gallon in just 1 week since the war began.
Hopefully something happens about it. I really can't do nothing but complain.
The average price of a gallon of gas in California is now over $5. In LA County, it's $5.17. That's up 17 cents just overnight. Down in Orange County, $5.15. And in Riverside County, $5.06. We stopped by one of the cheapest gas stations we could find, this American Oil in Exposition Park, where drivers could fill up for a little over $4.
I'm always searching for cheaper gas, so right now that's how Los Angeles working. So
just a few miles away in downtown, drivers with sticker shock at this Chevron, a gallon $8.21.
It's insane work. It's too high. I definitely won't be coming here for that.
And I just actually could not believe my eyes when I saw that $8. That's wild.
And it's not just the war in Iran. Experts say California's regulatory policies are also driving prices up as in-state gasoline production is down. These prices obviously impact so many of us here in Southern California. As always, a great resource is gasbuddy.com. You can find the cheapest gas.
Okay, so there you go. Short-term pain for long-term gain. That's obviously a talking point. That's a propaganda thing that's been being pushed, I'm going to guess, from the White House. What do you make of that that kind of propaganda push? The short-term, are people do people believe that? And what do you think is going to come of it?
Well, I think what Max Blumenthal said there was completely correct, that from a political perspective, Trump's already lost here. If if they have to go out and say, oh, there's going to be pain, but don't worry, it's going to get better, even though all indications are that this is not going to just go away quickly. And we've seen Trump over the past few days, he keeps posting these threats about the Strait of Hormuz. So if Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz, or if they mine the Strait of Hormuz, we're going to really get them. We're going to really get them then. And then just today, there was a report in the Wall Street Journal. So Iran has essentially shut down the Strait of Hormuz, and they say only ships that they give permission can go through. According to the Wall Street Journal, over the past week, Iran has exported more oil than before the war, at a rate higher than before the war. So now that Iran essentially has control of the strait, is hitting ships with drones that it doesn't want going through, they're able to export more oil. And of course, this type of instability, just, forget about the fact that one of the world's busiest waterways, it's something like 30% of the seaborne oil went through there last year. I mean, this is not just going to go away. And it's not even going to be a matter of, say, the war ends tomorrow, like things are just going to go back to normal. There's still going to be a shock and uncertainty about this. And this is what, kind of the worst case scenario that Pentagon planners always predicted and warned about with war with Iran, is that they would actually be able to close this strait. And I mean, some people are saying it could go up to $200 a barrel. I mean, we're going to see huge, huge increases in the gas price. And when it comes to people who don't really pay much attention to politics, that's the one thing that will get them to vote is, oh, my gas prices are way up. I want this to stop, so I'm going to vote for somebody else. So I think politically in the U.S., it's just, I mean, the Republicans in the midterms are going to get crushed unless things turn around. But there's no sign that this is going to be short term.
Why doesn't the United States Navy, which is over there, and Trump has offered to chaperone oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz because they can't get insurance on those oil tankers? So now Trump is he's gonna chaperone the oil tankers, and let's remember that that oil, a lot of it goes to China. Like 50% of China's oil comes from the Strait of Hormuz. So now Trump is offering to use the U.S. Navy to make sure China gets their oil, which sounds crazy, right? But so why doesn't the U.S. So now you're saying that Iran is exporting more oil than ever. Why doesn't the U.S. Navy just knock those oil tankers out?
Well, because they're worried that they'll get hit. I mean, this is right off Iran's coast. They don't need their long-range ballistic missiles. They could, hit that. They could fire a whole ton of shorter range missiles or drones at any Navy warship that goes through there. And they're saying that that's what they're going to do. So I think that's what's keeping them out. Trump that was another post he had, that the Navy was going to start escorting people, but that hasn't happened because they're worried about that. And they've told the shipping industry, look, we actually can't do that. And the other day, Chris Wright, I'm sure you saw this, the energy secretary, wrote a tweet claiming that the U.S. Navy escorted an oil tanker through the Strait of Hormuz.
I saw that.
It turned out that wasn't true, and he deleted it. And so, I mean, what exactly was that? Was that just an effort like Trump saying the war is going to be over soon? They're just trying to keep the price of oil down. Maybe that's what he was trying to do there, just make something up and hope that the oil price steadied a bit.
So you're saying that the U.S. Navy is in a vulnerable position to be struck by Iran, and they know it. Why doesn't Iran just strike them anyway?
Well, they have, targeted the Iranians have claimed that they've hit U.S. ships, or that they've forced them to retreat, to move further away from Iran. And it does appear that has happened. The Abraham Lincoln, the aircraft carrier that's been operating in the Arabian Sea, has moved back a bit. I think there was reporting that they're starting to move closer. But the thing is, like, again, when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, I mean, it's right there. They don't need the longer range weapons that they could just fire a few of. They could, blanket the place with drones and rockets and whatever else they have.
Okay. Dave DeCamp from antiwar.com. I really appreciate you making time for us. You guys, you do great work over there. Everybody check out antiwar.com. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, you too, Jimmy. Thanks again for having me.
Okay, pal. We're going to jump over to Rumble now. So everybody come join us over at Rumble, and Kurt's going to be there. And we got a great clip from the Joe Rogan show from yesterday. It's kind of mind-blowing. And it's about Epstein. Watch this. You won't believe it. All right, we'll see you over at Rumble.